Well, hello and welcome to another week of Soap Secrets. Now, joining me today is Claire Rugg because Victoria Wilson has had the audacity to go on annual leave, which is absolutely, frankly, unacceptable, isn't it, Claire?
It is.
So we're going to do our level best to bring you all the Holby gossip as we can. So, Claire, we've got Oliver Valentine back. I mean, it's a bit of a shock, isn't it? I mean, we last saw him in Holby in something like 2018.
Yes. So 2018 was the last time we saw him, and actually it was the shooting. So last week when he came back, Hanson's friend was trying to get Hanson to mentor Oliver Valentine. Now, back in 2018, for those of you that can't remember, there was a big shooting, and Hanson's son Friedrich actually shot Oliver in the head. Now, this is a big thing for a doctor to be shot in the head. It's a big thing for anyone. And he was told lots of things. He was certainly told he would never practice medicine again. And so 3 years on, we have seen Oliver really, really, really put himself through recovery. And he's done lots and lots of things to get him to a place where he now wants to go back to being a surgeon, Hannah. So this is really good. But you know, for Hanson and Oliver, there's all this underneath. There's this sort of unfinished business. You know, it was Hanson's son Friedrich who shot Oliver. And also Oliver's coming back to Holby, where it happened.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting to see how we play out. And as you and also, you know, like, I love Oliver. He's got a lot in his past. He's quite a ladies' man, Hannah. Very big ladies' man. He did actually have a kiss with Jack at one point.
I love the way these paths all cross and then they sort of just suddenly return.
Yes. So one of the things that Oliver did was he cheated in one of his medical exams, and he swapped papers out with his sister, making Penny, his sister, have to redo a year. And so he wasn't a fully qualified doctor. And, you know, Hanson found out and continued to let him practice. So this is very interesting.
So it's on Hanson as well. That's really bad.
I think it's really bad. It's a bit scary, isn't it? Really scary.
It's really scary.
So he has a run-in with a vandal on AAU this week, and this vandal actually has spray painted the memorial to the people that died in the shooting, and so obviously this is a big thing for Oliver. But we see him shout massively, have a real temper tantrum at this vandal who had no idea how momentous this memorial was. And so, you know, is he stable enough to come back and mentor under Hanson, and is he stable enough to face his demons in Holby, Hannah?
Well, yeah. I mean, the cracks are going to show, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
And you know, running alongside as well as the Josh storyline, he's really pushing himself in areas of his life, isn't he?
He is. Now, he's an F1 on a very busy ward. We all know doctors are worked off their feet. So add to that the stress, and he's got stress of having two premature twins that are still in hospital. That's massive stress. Anyone that's had that will know, massive stress. So I don't know how he's doing. I don't know how he's doing his job as an F1 on Darwin and spending his nights sleeping in a chair looking at his lovely twins. His partner, Ange, is handling a lot better than him, and he's taking caffeine pills. Hannah.
Oh no. You think as somebody working in a hospital that they would just sort of know that's just not what you should be doing. But I guess at these times you see so many people broken in those early days, and you know, of course, you know, he's got quite a background, hasn't he? And we kind of see Josh's mum recognising that perhaps is something that's coming back to bite him, that's returning.
Yes. So we do learn something sinister. I'm not going to spoil it for you, Hannah. What actually he suffered from in the past. He is running a lot as well. He's not eating. His mum says, "You look gaunt." So yeah, I mean, I don't know how he's continuing to do massive runs, work as an F1 on Darwin, and be very worried and sit at night with his lovely Prem twins. So it's going to be interesting to see where this story goes.
Yeah, and of course, last week as well, Max was absolutely floored, wasn't he, by Lucky's request to help her die last week?
Yeah. So this is Max and Kylie, they don't really handle this particularly well. So poor Lucky, she's tetraplegic, and so she's stuck in a hospital where she used to work with people who she used to advise and work with, giving her bed baths, feeding her, changing dressings, checking her for bed sores. This is just she has some pride, and it's really taken a toll on her mentally as well. And I don't think Max has really thought this through, because she asks Kylie to spend some quality time with her, like taking her around the car park on a sunny day is really going to solve anything, Hannah. It's not, is it?
It's not really, not when you're in that situation. I mean, the thing is that she's in the darkest place at the moment, because that happening to anyone is just absolutely awful, and you can't see past it. But the person has to live with it, I think, for a while to see whether it is something that they can live. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't help anyone to die. That is illegal. That's the bottom line, right?
But I was quite shocked at this. Max really has made some basic mistakes, and Lucky this picture of her surrounded by people, and Kylie has taken a picture of her and Lucky in her chair when she had her out in the sunshine. And it's the first time that Lucky has seen herself in the chair, and it was just sort of shoved at her. And she reacted very badly to it, because of course she would. It's the first time she's seen herself, in this position, not as a person that can walk and blow her own nose and go to the toilet by herself. This is very shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, it is shocking. It's a very difficult storyline to tackle, and so far I think they're doing it really well. Right, well, that is our best on Holby in the absence of Victoria. Thank you, Claire. And we're going to now move to Casualty, which we know lots about, but this week features two of your favourite doctors, I believe, Claire.
It does. I'm allowed to have favourites. And I've got a soft spot for both of these, Hannah, big soft spot. So I'm going to talk first of all about Dylan. Now, I know Dylan doesn't have great people skills, let's be honest. I'm not sure he has any people skills, but he's currently acting clinical lead after Connie left. And I'll be honest with you, Hannah, it's not a job he's really enjoying. So when Hanson, we've just talked about Hanson in Holby, he's talked about in Casualty because he's head of the hospital, but we don't actually see him. So he gets HR's Miss Case to offer Dylan the full-time role, and he declines it. He says, no, I'm not doing this. I don't know why, Hannah, because quite frankly, he has a very nice office, and I think that office comes with an executive washroom.
I'd be saying yes.
Yes, I would say yes, with an executive washroom, wouldn't you?
What's not to love?
I don't think they should give people, bonuses. I think they should give them the key to the executive washroom. I think that's a lot more. It's worth a lot more, isn't it?
It is. It definitely is.
So he says no. He just doesn't want to do it. It's too much hassle. It's a lot to organise. It's a busy ED department. But then he sees Stevie, who we know has it in for Ethan because of what happened to her sister Emma, trying to get the dirt on Ethan. Now Dylan knows that Stevie doesn't like Ethan. What he doesn't know is why. So and will he step up and accept the job to protect his friend Ethan? We'll have to wait and see, because because Stevie is second in line to get the job, and if Stevie got the job, she would make Ethan's life hell.
Yeah, exactly. Watch this space. And that's not the only thing going on, is there, in Casualty this week? Because a couple of weeks ago, we saw Rash get in over his head with his best friend's sister, Hafsa, because she told him that she was a youth worker when instead she was actually a drug gang recruiter. I mean, honestly, you couldn't make this up, could you?
You couldn't.
But this week, she turns up at Rash's house and asks him to take in Rayan, who is between placements. But there's a twist here, isn't there? Not a twist, but then something happens.
Yes. So we all know that Hafsa isn't who she says she is, and that she's quite cold and calculating and evil, I would even say. And she's got Rayan, and he is one of her drug gang, one of these kids, young teenagers that she's using to run drugs. And so she just says he's between placements, and can Rash take him? I mean, and Rash is put on the spot a bit, and he says yes. He doesn't know this guy. I mean, he could rob him blind. He could do all sorts of things.
Yeah, of course he could. Of course he could. I mean, it's just madness.
Rash says, hey, I've got to go into work. Here are the keys to the flat. And Rayan says, oh, well, I've got to go out anyway, because Hafsa's just called him and says, you need to meet me down by the railway station. And he's later stabbed Rayan, and so Hafsa and Rayan get back to Rash's house and say, you must help us, and Rash says, well, I can't help you here, we need to do this and this, because he's bleeding profusely, Hannah. Yeah, I know.
It's not one for me, is it, Claire? This episode.
I need to do a scan on him, because this could have, the knife could have pierced all sorts of things. So they get him to the hospital, and Rash again agrees to lie and not tell the police. And later we see Hafsa make a call and she says, we've got a doctor in our pocket.
That's a bit of a cliffhanger right there, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's where we're going to leave you, folks. That's it. Until next week. I'm afraid. I'm sorry to tell you that, but it is. We will be back, and we will tell you what's happening next.